13 of the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few batters I've looked to sell high and trade away this week. The first guy's Kyle Schwarber of the Washington Nationals. So Schwarber, he's been on a historic pace over the last month here for the Nationals in fantasy baseball owners. But obviously he's going to cool off, and this ain't going to continue in my opinion. Now, on the season for Schwarber, 25 home runs, 53 RBIs, 40 runs scored, a 253 batting average, which is a high number for Schwarber. As you know, throughout his career, he's a 230, 240 guy with a 336 on base percentage. And the last couple weeks for him, his numbers were out of control. 12 home runs, 19 RBIs, 15 runs scored, a 346 batting average, and a 404 on base percentage. So Schwarber, he's going out there, and it seems like just about every night now, he's hitting a home run for this Washington national team. Home runs in his last 19 games, so that's an astronomical number. And he's got 16 home runs in the last month, so since the mid-May to end of June here, he's been on a total tear. And the last few games for Schwarber, June 24th at Miami, 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. June 25th in Miami, 3 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. June 26th in Miami, 0 for 4. June 27th in Miami, 0 for 3 with 2 runs scored. June 28th versus the Mets, 3 for 5 with 2 homers and 2 RBIs. And then last night versus Tampa, 1 for 4 with a homer and an RBI. So right now, ever since the Nats batted Schwarber first, he's been on this home run tear. And right now, his value's at an all-time high. And I think you could get a great starting pitcher and maybe even a big hitter as well in a deal with Schwarber. It's sky the limit for his value right now, because no way he's going to keep this pace up, hitting 16 home runs in a month once again. So right now, while he's way up there in value, you still got to make a robbery type of deal for me to sell him high. But this is the perfect time to do it while he's red hot and a home run machine here at Schwarber, to sell him high, because he was on the waiver wire 2-3 weeks ago before he really broke out. The next hit is Ryan Mountcastle of the Baltimore Orioles. So Mountcastle, another player who was on the waiver wire a few weeks ago, but now he's really picking things up here in the last month. On the season, 14 home runs, 45 RBIs, 34 runs scored, a 264 batting average, and a 304 on base in the last couple weeks for Mountcastle. He's been doing it all: 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, 9 runs scored, 358 batting average, and a 433 on base. And in this month, he's got 10 home runs here in the month of June, is Mountcastle. And without warm weather heating up here, obviously the ball's going to carry him, with 2 prime examples in Schwarber and Mountcastle. That's exactly what's happening right now for these guys. But I don't know if Mountcastle is going to keep this up. We saw him struggle pretty much the first 10 weeks of the season here. So the last few games for him: June 24th at Toronto, 1 for 2. June 25th at Toronto, 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. June 26th at Toronto, 0 for 3. June 27th at Toronto, 1 for 3 with a homer and an RBI. June 28th at Houston, 2 for 3 with a homer, 3 RBIs and 2 runs scored. And June 29th at Houston, 0 for 5. So right now he's hitting the ball well as Mountcastle. He's showing obvious power. But right now, while his value is also at an all-time high, I think I would trade him off, and you could get a decent starting pitcher in a deal for him, or trade him off in a 1-for-1 for another hitter that you think is going to break out. I just don't see Mountcastle having in this huge season and batting in the 350s the rest of the way like he has over the last couple weeks. So he's a definite sell-high candidate this week. The next hit is Jake Cronenworth of the San Diego Padres. So Cronenworth, a nice utility infielder here for the Padres and fantasy owners. He qualifies at first, second, and short in fantasy baseball on the season here for Cronenworth. 12 home runs, 34 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 55 runs scored. That's amongst the league leaders here in the majors. 285 batting average and a 357 on base. In the last couple weeks, he's done it all as well. Is Cronenworth: 6 home runs, 14 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a 372 batting average, and a 471 on base. So right now he's going out there, he's getting on base, and he's batting third in a perfect spot here in the San Diego Padre offense. And he's showing the power, and he's scoring the runs. But right now, I don't think his numbers are going to be sustainable, and especially that he's ranked 44th in all of fantasy baseball this season. I think that number's going to fall. So the last few games here for Cronenworth: June 23rd versus the Dodgers, 2 for 4 with a homer, RBI, 2-run scored. June 25th versus Arizona, 2 for 4 with a homer, RBI, 2-run scored. June 26th versus Arizona, 0 for 4. June 27th versus Arizona, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And then yesterday at Cincinnati, June 29th, 1 for 5 with an RBI and 2-runs scored. So right now, he's playing well, no doubt about it. And I think you could get a good starting pitcher in a 1-for-1 deal here for Cronenworth. And with his versatility as well, his value could be higher and you could get more in a deal. So right now, I think Cronenworth, he's not going to keep it going. And I would trade him off this week as a sell high candidate. The next hitter I'd look to sell high and trade away is Bryan Reynolds of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've spoken about Reynolds the last couple weeks here as a sell high candidate, and he's playing good, but obviously he's not on that great of a team here for the Pirates. And Reynolds, he bats third as well in this lineup, so he's in the middle of things. On the season, 13 home runs, 44 RBIs, 44 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, 311 batting average, and a 397 on base. But the last couple weeks here, he's white hot: 3 home runs, 13 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 6 runs scored, a 422 batting average, and a 435 on base. So right here, his average is to the moon right now in the last couple weeks, but his on base to batting average ratio isn't that telling, so he's not really drawing walks. And it's just a matter of time that you're not always going to find the holes and be on a crazy hitting tear here. We're not really walking or doing much. In the last few games for Reynolds, June 24th at St. Louis, 3 for 4 with a homer and 4 RBIs. June 25th at St. Louis, 1 for 4 with a run. June 26th at St. Louis, 1 for 4. June 27th at St. Louis, 2 for 5 with a run, 2 RBIs and a stolen base. And June 28th at the Rockies, 1 for 4 with a stolen base. And he sat out yesterday's ball game at the Rockies, but today he's in the lineup once again versus the Rockies in that series finale. So right here, Reynolds, he's hitting the ball well. He's playing good baseball, but like I mentioned, I don't think the numbers are sustainable. He's on a poor team, and I think teams, they're going to start pitching around him and be careful a little more, because there's not that many threats in this Pittsburgh Pirate offense. And right now, Reynolds is a perfect sell-high candidate, in my opinion, in the 5th and final hitter. I've looked to sell high and trade-offs with Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals. So I know Merrifield, he's been a great fantasy player the last 3 or 4 seasons. And on the season here, he's having a good one. 8 home runs, 45 RBIs, 48 runs scored, 22 stolen bases, a 287 batting average, and a 336 on base percentage. In the last couple weeks for him, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, 392 batting average, and a 426 on base. So right now, he's really hitting the baseball well. And obviously his specialty is stealing bases, which not many baseball players do it anymore. Old guys stealing a lot of bases, so this is why his ranking's very high at 13. But Merrifield, he was struggling the first 2 months of the season for the most part. And right now he's on a hot streak. While he's bumped his value up, is Merrifield. I think this is a perfect time to trade him off. Stolen bases aren't as valuable as they used to be, in my opinion. Even in a head-to-head points league or category league, yeah, he'll win you that category, but he's not really hitting for power. His runs are down a little bit this season, and his batting average isn't as high as it used to be with the 287. So right now, I would sell him off here. And the last few games for Merrifield: June 24th at the Yankees, 1 for 3. June 25th at Texas, 2 for 4 with an RBI. June 26th at Texas, 0 for 3. June 27th at Texas, 3 for 4 with an RBI. June 28th at Boston, 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a homer, and a ribby. And June 26th at Boston, 2 for 4 with a homer, an RBI, and a stolen base. So right now, he's going out there playing real great baseball, and he's a classic sell-high candidate, in my opinion. And with his name value and the numbers he's putting up of late, I think you could get a great offer from Merrifield and get a lot of value. So that's a few hitters I look to sell high and trade away here in Week 13 of the fantasy baseball season.